Hey guys, it's Ty the TV Guy here, back with another Stranger Things 5 video, this time discussing the cryptic episode title for Season 5, Episode 2, The Vanishing of Blank. As I'll get into in a minute, it was kind of a all 8 of the episode titles were released to us a couple months ago at the To Dumb Netflix event, and all were released in full except for this episode title because, of course, if they told us exactly who was vanishing, it might give away a bit too much of the plot this early on in the game. So they decided to keep it pretty mysterioso, pretty cryptic, and keep the fans guessing, maybe all the way up until the release date. We'll see what happens. Before I dive deeper into who could be the missing character in Season 5 of Stranger Things, make sure to like this video and subscribe to my channel. I'm going to have so much more content coming out in approach to Season 5 and as it releases and reactions to everything. And I'm trying to reach 500 subscribers at least here as my goal by the end of the year, so it helps out more than you know. But alrighty, so if you're a big Stranger Things fan, you've been following the filming and kind of the hype building up to Season 5, you know that the most common theory for who this character is that's going to be vanishing in Episode 2 is Holly Wheeler, the little sister in the Wheeler family, of course. A character that really hasn't had much to do or many lines within the show up to this point, but there are some indications that this could actually be Holly Wheeler who's being alluded to in this episode title. One factor is that there was a leak of the episode titles earlier this year before the To Dumb event, and all of those actually came to fruition, except for this one for sure, but they did get the part of it that was the vanishing of. Now, they said it would be the vanishing of blank Wheeler, and most people kind of made the conclusion that that would be Holly Wheeler. So that would make them 8 for 8 on their predictions. So it would be a little weird that they knew the rest of the episode titles, but not this one. Another factor that makes it likely that it's Holly Wheeler is that there are behind the scenes photos of Holly and Henry Creel seemingly having a conversation. You know, and I don't think she would do that voluntarily probably. So it seems like he or someone else that's affiliated with him may have taken her. And what their connection is exactly, not totally sure, but there were those behind the scenes photos that were also leaked. It appeared outside of the Creel house. And then the third and final factor that points to this possibly being her, and just obviously the actress having a bigger role in this season in general in the character of Holly, is that they actually recasted the young actress for Holly Wheeler in this final season. All along it had been 2 twins playing Holly, seasons 1 through 4, and like I said, her limited screen time and lines and all that, but now it appears she's actually going to be like a real character that's a little bit involved here, and so they recasted her as a good young actress, Mel Fisher, and so it seems like the role is going to be expanded there and more expected of that character from an acting standpoint. So all 3 of those factors, from the recasting to the leak or supposed leaks, at least of the episode titles, all being accurate, and it would bear to reason that this would be a Wheeler then if they were accurate with all the other titles, and then also the leaked pictures behind the scenes seeming like they would fit the scenario of her going missing this season. So if everything's lining up for Season 5 Episode 2's title to be The Vanishing of Holly Wheeler, then you might be asking, Ty, why are you even making this video? Why is this even a point of discussion? I'm glad you asked, if you asked, because a few weeks ago, Ross Duffer, the co-creator of Stranger Things, of course, made an Instagram post about how they were completely done and the files were sealed for Episode 1, The Crawl, and Episode 2, The Vanishing of, and then he said something like, yeah, you all think you know who it is, blah, blah, blah. So basically, he's kind of trolling the fans here because he knows that everyone has seen the posts and the leaks about how it's supposedly Holly Wheeler, and he's telling us, well, you think you know who it is, you got something else coming. So the big question is, what do we make of all this? Is he trying to change our expectations just so that it's surprising when it still is Holly Wheeler, or is he being genuine here? Is he being serious in the fact that we all have it wrong and everyone who's expecting Holly Wheeler to be the one that goes missing is way off base? So if you want my opinion, which I hope you do since you're here, I think it's still Holly Wheeler. I do think Ross Duffer is doing a good trolling job on us here, trying to cloud our expectations. But based on the factors that I mentioned earlier regarding the new actress playing Holly, the seeming increased role, she's even in the teaser trailer that was released about a month ago. So yeah, I do think it is most likely that Ross Duffer is trying to troll the fans here, trying to get a stir or a buzz going again, even if there's not much to buzz about. But hey, I'm not going to say it's impossible that this isn't Holly Wheeler, so let's take a look at a couple of the other options that this could be for the vanishing of blank. So to me, we have to rule out the main adult characters right away. I don't think this is going to be someone like Hopper, Joyce, or Murray. I just don't think that would make a whole lot of sense, and we would want them on screen kind of looking over our young characters that are going to be going through this battle with Vecna and his army. And then I don't really think this is going to be any of the main kids either, or the main older kids, because like I said, they're just going to be in the midst of this thing. We kind of already got some leaks that are showing us what they're going to be up to this season and some of the missions they're going on. There might be one that I discuss and throw in here just for the fun of it. For the most part, though, I don't think it's going to be our younger kid characters. So that really does only leave a few options here. The first, as we've beat to death in this video, is Holly Wheeler. I think that has like a 75% chance likelihood of being the case, even though he's trying to bait us into thinking, oh no, it's not Holly Wheeler? Well, then who is it then? I think it might be a little bit of reverse psychology here from Ross Duffer. But let's say it's not her. Who could it be? The first person that comes to mind for me is Vecna. Henry Creel. Probably The Vanishing of Henry Creel would be the title, not Vecna. Maybe exploring a little more in his childhood, maybe something else that happened that we weren't given a glimpse into. Maybe in between the stages of the killing of his family and his abduction to Hawkins' lab, you could call it, or Mr. Brenner taking him in at least, and potentially giving us a bit more of that backstory that we've been promised about the Upside Down and its workings. So I think Henry Creel is certainly one other option in addition to Holly Wheeler. Another option, I think, is Karen Wheeler. Now, if you remember when these leaks first came out for the episode titles, it was The Vanishing of blank Wheeler. That's what was leaked. And so that would lend itself to having the possibility of being other Wheeler family members, and I really just don't see Mike or Nancy going missing completely at this point in the show. So Karen could be another option. She's not necessarily a central character. She is an adult, so, would obviously be a bit tougher to abduct her, I guess, but if it's Vecna doing the abducting, he can do that to anyone pretty much with his power. So I wouldn't put it past it being Karen. I don't think that's a likely option, but something worth considering. Someone else who comes to mind for a pretty self-explanatory reason is Will Byers himself. Now, the first episode of the entire series, Season 1, Episode 1, was The Vanishing of Will Byers. And so, would they repeat that title? That wouldn't make a whole lot of sense, I don't think. Maybe they could call it like Part 2. I guess that would be kind of interesting. And maybe that is the case. Maybe that's why they have it blurred out. They're going to make it a Will Byers Part 2. I think that would be a little redundant and probably unlikely to happen here in Season 5. But what I will say is it appears we're going to get some of these flashback scenes for sure about Will and what happened to him when he was disappeared all the way back in Season 1. So having a title that reflects that and kind of devoting a good portion of a whole episode into that backstory, into how he actually survived back then, would be pretty cool. But I do think they're going to explore that regardless, and I think a lot of that may come in Season 1, Episode 1, or Season 5, Episode 1, because we've already gotten the opening lines, and it appears that they're going to start out with a flashback of him in Castle Byers. So yeah, I'd put it at about a 75% chance that Holly Wheeler is the elusive, missing, vanished person in this Season 5, Episode 2 title. I'd probably put it at about a 15% chance that this is Henry Creel, maybe like a 6% chance that it's Karen Wheeler, and then a 3% chance that it's Will Byers, Vanishing Part 2 type of thing. And if I did the math correctly here, I believe that would leave me with 1% left. So who do I want to kind of discuss where I think it's like slightly within the realm of possibility? There's two other characters that come to my mind. One is Erica Sinclair. Just because I didn't see her all that much in the teaser trailer. Now, why would she go missing? Don't necessarily know, but to be fair, don't know why Holly would go missing all that much either. I mean, she's been even less important to the storyline than Erica, of course, so I don't really have a reason why she would go missing, but just because of her lack of involvement in that teaser trailer for the most part, only like one glimpse of her, and just the fact that there's no supporting evidence really for anyone else going missing either, it makes it possible. And then the other character is Jonathan, and largely for a similar reason to Erica. Through all of the pre-Season 5 hype, through the teaser trailer, through the video that was released on Tudum, there seems to be just like a lack of footage overall for Jonathan. There's a couple flashes of him, there's a couple conversations with Nancy, but who's to say there isn't a little detour early in the season where Jonathan gets taken to the Upside Down or something like that? I don't know. And it would be kind of like in parallel to his brother going missing all the way back in Season 1, bringing it full circle, but now the other brother goes missing. So it's just a possibility. I'm putting him and Erica both at like 0.5% each. I don't think that's going to be the case. I once again, think Ross Duffer is trolling us, trying to get a reaction, trying to get us to theorize and more word of mouth and excitement going while there's no actual content releasing right now, so that we keep talking about the show and say, hey, maybe it's not Holly Wheeler, even though I think that makes the most sense here just based on context clues. But all right, guys, that concludes my discussion about this mainly. Just kind of wanted to provide some options, throw them out there, see what you guys think. Maybe it's like a character that's really not all that relevant, but that will become relevant through their vanishing in season 5, of course. So who knows what can happen? I don't think it's going to be any of the other really main characters that I didn't mention. And so let me know what you guys think in the comments. As always, as I mentioned earlier, got more videos about Stranger Things in season 5 coming in the near future, and we're getting closer and closer every day. Less than 100 days now till it's released, so I'm super excited. But until next time, guys, keep living. Have a great day. Peace out.